Afternoon, everyone. It is 1 p.m. I apologize for starting us a minute late. We always like to get going right on the top of the hour, so I'm sorry. But happy Wednesday, everyone. As we're queuing people in, I will get us going. Hello and welcome to the December YVSC community meeting. I'm Michelle Stewart, Executive Director of Yampa Valley Sustainability Council, and it's such a pleasure to be able to convene you all. I hope you're having a fabulous start to the holiday and winter season, and hopefully we'll get some more snow soon. Many of you know, but YVSC was established as a nonprofit in 2009, so excitingly, in 2024, we're moving forward on our 15-year anniversary. And I thank you, the many of you who have helped establish and build our organization. We remain guided by the mission to serve as a leader, resource, and catalyst for building a sustainable and resilient Yampa Valley region. And these monthly community meetings are designed to convene community partners and members so that we can connect, identify common goals and challenges, and importantly, find ways to collaborate so that we create more impactful and farther-reaching programs and practices in our community. This month is our quarterly partner update meeting where you'll hear updates from the YVSC team, as well as our key community partners who are all collectively advancing sustainability and climate action in the community. The structure for today's meeting will be YVSC will provide updates, and then I'll turn the floor over to our community partners for 2 to 3 minute updates, and then I'll introduce each of you in turn. And then please, all attendees, use the chat as a place to put resources, links, and other materials that you'd like to share with one another. And if there's a lot there, then we'll be sure to share it with all registered attendees after the meeting. Please do remember to keep your microphones on mute, and we should have time at the end for public comment. So now it's my pleasure to kick off our meeting and our updates from YVSC. As an organization, we continue to move forward on our second year of implementing our 2022 to 2026 strategic plan, which is entitled Advancing Climate Solutions Together. This is available on our website, so please take a look at it if you have not yet. But really, climate action remains at the core of our work, where climate action refers to both actions that reduce greenhouse gas emissions and increase resilience to current and projected changes. Both actions, reducing emissions and increasing resilience, are key, the latter of which in particular because, as Russ Schumacher, our state climatologist, recently summarized, the state of Colorado is on track for more warming everywhere and in the coming decades. And so everything that we do now to reduce emissions and invest in strategies that increase our resilience to those changes matter. YVSC continues to advance climate action through our energy, transportation, waste, and resilient land and water priority areas, and you'll hear updates across these priority areas in a while. The underlying value and urgency to our work and our collective need to advance climate action is the fact that everything we do matters. As noted in our 2018 greenhouse gas inventory that was conducted by Routt County, nearly 2/3 of our emissions come from our energy and transportation sectors, making the ways that we heat and cool our buildings and how we transport ourselves as key areas of focus as we move forward on this time of climate action. We at YVSC are still celebrating the successes of the new 2021 International Building Code updates that all climate governments adopted, those that have adopted the Climate Action Plan, which include Routt County, City of Steamboat Springs, and towns of Hayden, Oak Creek, and Yampa, which will be rolling out in January 2022. And those code updates, as Paul can kind of dive into more deeply, they are important instruments for increasing energy efficiency in new buildings. They have moved forward with wildfire mitigation safety protocols, and importantly, will require 100% renewable energy in outdoor snowmelt systems. Paul, as I mentioned, can really go into the details of that, but what is important is that utilizing non-fossil fuel-based systems to heat and cool our buildings and our walkways where needed is not a challenge. It is absolutely a necessity. So we are very grateful to our elected officials who have stepped forward to make climate action something that is now part of our practice, and importantly, how we build moving forward. We have the climate solutions that we need to take the actions that we need to, and it will take collaboration and putting our heads together to use the right tools at this vital time for climate action. Climate change remains an ongoing threat that requires unprecedented collaboration, and collaboration is key to scaling impact. And here I want to thank all of you for all of the great work that you do to advance your internal policies and procedures, while also so actively turning to and investing in the partnerships that we have here on the call and the collaborative efforts that benefit this region. So before we turn it over to staff, I would also like to share an exciting update that we have a valuable new addition to our board of directors. We nonprofits know the great value that our board of directors bring to our strategy, our reach, and our impact. And it is my sincere pleasure to share that Alston Williamson, who's on the call, Alston, you can give a little wave, is on the call today. Alston is joining our board of directors, and her first meeting is this month. Alston serves as the Senior Associate Director of Philanthropy at the Nature Conservancy's Colorado chapter. And she has been serving as a key member of TNC's Colorado chapter's development team since 2010. And over the past 13 years, she has risen to her current leadership position by bringing together her commitment to conservation, to Colorado, and her understanding of philanthropy to meaningfully merge public support of conservation with on-the-ground successes in Colorado. Fortunate for the Yampa Valley, Alston recently moved with her family to the Yampa Valley from Boulder, and she is now a boots-on-the-ground community member who is looking forward to building her local connections and rooting herself in a place that she's loved to visit for the past decade. Alston's appreciation of just how special the Yampa Valley is across the state of Colorado and her intimate understanding of how the region is changing due to climate change makes her an incredible addition to our board. I personally look forward to working with Alston and her passion for climate action and conservation and bringing it into the service of YVSC and our growth and impact in the years ahead. So Alston, a warm welcome from YVSC and welcome to the community, and we all look forward to working with you. So at this time, it's my pleasure to turn the floor over to YVSC for programmatic updates, and we will start first with Ryan, who will be talking. He is our Natural Climate Solutions Projects Manager. Ryan.
Thanks, Michelle. Hi, all. It's good to see you. So I'm just going to give a little recap on the restoration projects that YVSC ran this last season. So these projects are run oftentimes with volunteers, both through our Yampa Valley Climate Crew program and our annual retreat events. We also conduct these projects with many of our partners, including the U.S. Forest Service, Nature Conservancy, Trout Unlimited, Yampa Valley High School, the Colorado Outdoor Industry Leadership Summit, the Sleeping Giant School Roots and Shoots Club, and YVEA, which also gave a very generous donation to our restoration project efforts this year. In total, we had 12 projects and 384 total volunteers, which is the most that we've had to date, which is excellent. We planted over 5,200 trees, 3,100 of which were planted during the Muddy Slide burn scar restoration in June, and the rest were planted as part of our Yampa River Forest Restoration Program. In total, 8.5 acres were restored, and another 732 acres were surveyed for future resource restoration potential. As part of our Yampa River Forest Restoration Program, which seeks to increase riparian vegetation along the banks of the Yampa and Elk and other tributaries in order to increase shading and limit solar loading on the river, we had 8 planting projects, including our 2 retreat events, and planted along over a mile of stream bank, which is incredible. We also secured enough funding for 2.5 more years of work on our wet meadow restoration project in California Park, which we do in concert with the Forest Service. It's a really important project to restore these wet meadows. They act like a sponge on our landscape and take that snow melt in during the spring months and then release it during the hotter and drier periods of the year. So yeah, we've got a lot of great projects going on, and thank you to everyone who was involved, and look forward to next year too.
Great, thank you so much, Ryan. And next we have Madison Muxworthy, our Soil, Moisture, Water, and Snow Program Manager.
Thanks, Michelle. It's exciting to share the news that we have installed. I'm getting a little bit of feedback. I don't know if anyone else is hearing that. You're good. Okay, thanks. We are thrilled to share the news that in early November of this year, we installed 2 new climate and soil moisture monitoring stations in the upper Yampa River Basin. These 2 new stations are built upon the successful pilot installation that we installed on private property in September of 2022. And this new phase of the expansion of the network is in thanks to additional funding from the Upper Yampa Water Conservancy District, new funding from Colorado River District's Community Funding Partnership, and the Colorado Water Conservation Board's Water Plan Grant. And so we're very excited to be working with those funding partners. And we're really excited because we are working with 2 private properties to install these recent stations. And one is at the Howe Ranch, which is roughly 10 miles north of Hayden. And the second is on private property, roughly 7 miles northwest of Steamboat Springs. And these installations represent the groundbreaking of this new phase. And we're really excited as the project partners between Yampa Valley Sustainability Council, Colorado Mountain College, and the Center for Western Weather and Water Extremes to be working on this new phase. We plan to install 6 additional stations in the coming years through 2026. And this will result in a comprehensive network that will span that entire basin. And the climate monitoring network is motivated by increasing uncertainty in our snow to flow predictions for water availability in the larger Colorado River Basin and the Yampa River Basin specifically. And so we're really excited to be working towards that goal of increased monitoring to better inform decision-making in the Yampa Basin. You can learn more about the network by visiting our website, and I'll put a link for that in the chat. Thanks.
Thanks so much, Maddie. And next we have Connor Burns, our sustainability coordinator.
Hey everyone, I am reporting live from the recycling depot. We have Christmas music playing, the spirits are high, and so come on down. We actually have new winter hours, so we're open Wednesday, Friday now 10 to 4. Some notable metrics for our numbers this year. We actually are looking at pretty similar numbers comparing this year to last year. So our big ticket items being electronics, batteries, light bulbs. We have 42,130 pounds of electronics diverted this year, which is actually higher than last year, which is 40,765. So we actually have more electronics diverted. The batteries were at 2,598 for this year. We did 2,627 last year. Bulbs, we're looking way better. We have 4,897 bulbs recycled this year. Last year was 3,879. Customers, we are down a little bit, but we're looking at 1,330 this year, and we had 1,408 last year. And so we're only down a couple $1,000s, and that's pretty exciting to be at this kind of diversion rate and kind of maintaining that diversion rate that we had last year. So it's definitely been very successful. And of course, it wouldn't be without the funding that the city and the county helps us. And so we always thank you for that support. And it definitely is going a long way. Big news for 2024, we actually are offering energy assessments in-house now. So I will be offering energy assessments through YVSC, and we are looking at a little bit less total assessment requests this year from last year. So we're at 17 residential, 1 commercial. A couple of things there's price increases that happened, and we did see some incentive funding from YVA run out earlier this year. So those kind of attribute to why we're down a little, but we're hoping next year is going to be a pretty productive year. And I just talked to Mike earlier, and he'll be giving some updates on rebates and incentives from YVA. So it's looking like a good next year.
Thanks so much, Connor. Next, Paul Boney, our Energy and Transportation Director.
Good afternoon, everyone. Thank you for joining us. As mentioned by Michelle, the last few months have seemed like all-consuming on assisting Routt County Building Department get the 2021 code adopted. I really want to take a second to give that department a hats off for all the effort that goes into this every 3-year cycle. This year was really game-changing. Not only did they adopt the international building code, but we also brought in local code elements for, as Michelle mentioned, outdoor energy use, including snow melt, and EV readiness and solar/photovoltaic or PV readiness into the code. So really a big effort pushing us forward towards the climate action plan carbon reduction goals. But prize goes to the winner. So now we're working with the building department on some heat pump training for contractors and designers that we'll be putting on mid-January. So I was honored. They asked me to provide the heat pump 101 class. So I'm going to knock some rust off my old heat pump training classes and see if we can help spread the word and get our contracting community engaged in what really is becoming the driving force for beneficial electrification. And then lastly, the State Energy Office has a grant window that's going to open again mid-January for all things geothermal, both geothermal electric generation and geothermal heat pumps. So that'll open in mid-January, and we're working with a local coalition on possibly applying for 2 grants, one for we'll call it a community geothermal system on the mountain to address the reduction of fossil fuel boiler use for both building space heating and conditioning and snow melt. And then more exciting, or just as exciting, and we'll again be meeting with YVA tomorrow on this one, we're working on a potential for some geothermal generation in the valley that could bring some new renewable generation at scale. So those are all exciting developments, and it's going to be a busy start of the new year to get that going. So look for more education on all things geothermal in 2024. And thank you for your time today.
Thank you so much, Paul. Next, we have Ashley Dean, Collaborative Initiatives Manager.
Getting myself unmuted here. Hi all, I'm happy to share some updates in 2 of my major areas. That's the Climate Action Plan Collaborative and the Colorado Green Business Network of the Yampa Valley programs. With the release of 40 high-impact actionable steps to reduce greenhouse gas emissions in the Yampa Valley this summer, the Routt County Collaborative is now in its implementation phase. As Michelle mentioned at the beginning of this meeting, this time to act is now, and the recommendations highlight short-term actions that can and should be implemented over the next 5 years. All 5 CAP working groups are now convening quarterly to provide updates on and support for recommendation progress. The CAP board continues to meet monthly to fulfill the accountability role of the CAP. This includes helping to secure long-term funding for the CAP, carrying out educational programs in support of the CAP, and engaging public and private partnerships. This summer, the board established the Routt County Climate Action Plan Fund. The fund is held at the Yampa Valley Community Foundation and was created to support projects identified by the board as furthering the objectives set out in the Climate Action Plan. 501(c) nonprofits and governmental entities that have adopted the Routt County Climate Action Plan are eligible for the grants. Individuals and businesses can make donations directly to the fund via the Yampa Valley Community Foundation website, and I will drop that link shortly. Donations to the Climate Action Plan can also be made through the Good Traveler Program, which is a partnership with the Yampa Valley Regional Airport, where residents and visitors can voluntarily mitigate their air travel emissions to and from YVRA via mileage-based donations. These contributions will support local climate projects spanning habitat restoration, waste reduction, renewable energy project adoptions, and climate-friendly transport. We'd like for you all to consider this option if you happen to be traveling over the holidays. This fall, we also released the Collaborative's first 2022-23 annual report, which highlights key successes over our 5 key sectors. These include the City of Steamboat Springs' decision to go all electric for the new City Hall Fire Station complex, a decision that will result in 150 tons per year of carbon saved. The transportation sector noted 388 electrical vehicles registered in Routt County and 150 bikes matched to the Routt County Riders Bike Match Program. Waste sector successes included the passage of the city's commercial and multifamily unit recycling ordinance and the diversion of 2,447 pounds of recyclables and 1,920 pounds of compost through 27 zero waste supported events. In land use, I think Ryan hit on this already, so I won't go over those again. And then finally, in the economy sector, we celebrated the growth of the Colorado Green Business Network of the Yampa Valley program, with 10 businesses registered and 3 bronze level certified certifications awarded. Speaking of the Colorado Green Business Network program, we are looking forward to growing that over the next year with a $60,000 grant from the USDA. We will be co-hosting with the Steamboat Chamber 4 workshop luncheons. The first is Tuesday, January 23rd, 12 to 1:30 p.m. in the Routt County Health and Human Services Community Room. We will be providing lunch. The workshop will focus on why a business should enroll in the program, and will address the economic and environmental benefits of participation, what CGBN YV is, and the enrollment process. We will also be holding monthly office hours for potential new green businesses and lunch and learns with larger businesses interested in learning more about the Green Business Program. In addition to the free on-site technical support and coaching we provide to our registered green businesses. If you know of a green business interested in joining the program, please have them reach out to me and I will include my email in the chat. Thank you.
Great. Thank you so much, Ashley. And next we have Dakota Dolan, Forest Resilience Projects Manager.
Thanks, Michelle, and thanks everyone for being on the call. So I'll give an update on our internship program. We just wrapped up our fall internship term. We're extremely proud of our 2 interns, Mackenzie Dotson and Sammy Wyman. Mackenzie's project on the Colorado Green Business Network resulted in a database for outreach to local agricultural businesses and food producers, and she created a template for future recruitment. She successfully recruited 2 businesses and began the process of becoming a member for Elkstone Farms and Greens Wizard Microgreens. And then Sammy Wyman's project on communicating and motivating climate community action resulted in a thorough literature review on relevant research, best practices, and psychological models, as well as a formal recommendation for YVSC for next steps on engagement with the Climate Action Plan. And that was centered around mini focus groups and utilizing trusted networks. And it's always such a pleasure to see the interns' final projects and witness how much they grow throughout the term. And additionally, applications for the spring internship will be opening next Monday, December 18th, and those will be available through January 22nd. And the spring term will begin February 5th, running through April 26th. And this is a paid part-time opportunity of 10 to 15 hours a week. So if you know of any Steamboat students or young professionals who may be interested in a project-based professional work experience rooted in local sustainability efforts, make sure to direct them towards our website to learn more and apply. And I will put the link for that in the chat. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Cody. And last but not least, Kate Mercado, Communication and Program Manager.
Thanks, Michelle. I have a couple quick updates on our 2024 Insight Art for Climate Action event. For those of you that aren't familiar with this event, it was built because we at YVSC really value art as an important means of communicating science and inspiring action. And the fundraiser was built with those intentions in mind. So throughout the first half of this year, we'll be soliciting artwork from local artists that are based on different sectors of sustainability that align with our priority areas. And save the date, because on June 29th, we'll all be coming together to host that fundraiser and celebrate those artworks and the artists. Additionally, this next year, we have an exciting partnership with Steamboat Creates. The artwork that is created for Insight Art for Climate Action will be shown in Steamboat Creates Bliss Hall for the month of June. So we'll be celebrating those artists on First Friday as well. And we're excited because this partnership really helps us spread the mission of the event and broadens the reach by being able to share those artworks with the public as well. If you're looking for some Christmas gifts this year or hoping to send out some holiday cards, we also have our Insight Art for Climate Action cards available. These are featuring works of art that were a part of the 2023 event. So you can find those cards not only at our YVSC office, but also at Boomerang, Off the Beaten Path, Freshies, Lions, Westlife, Emerald, and Emerald Coffee. Thank you.
Great. Thank you so much, Kate. Okay, next, we will turn the floor over to our partners, and I think we'll all find that it's just so inspiring to hear all of the different activities that are underway in our community. So with that, I will lead us off with Commissioner Sonia Macy's, Routt County Commissioner. Welcome.
Hi, everyone. Thanks for those great updates. I really enjoy working with the Sustainability Council staff on all of these awesome projects. You guys are really killing it with this great work. And so I'm on the CAP board also, your Routt County Commissioner, but also on the CAP board. And through that role, I was asked to reach out to the Routt County Planning Commission and thank them for institutionalizing the Climate Action Plan in their everyday doings. So I did that at our meeting on the 7th. They were really actually thrilled that anybody had noticed that they were considering that plan as a guiding document. So thanks everybody for acknowledging that work. I wanted to let you know that Routt County has committed to 100% renewable energy for our electricity by 2025. So we're pretty excited about that. We're actually working on 2 parallel courses to try to achieve that. The first is looking at a large-scale renewable solar project, and that's in partnership with the city of Steamboat Springs and the town of Hayden at a minimum, potentially Ski Corps in Moffett County as well. So we've got some consulting resources through the Department of Energy that we think will get us to that place. But then also, as Paul mentioned, we're very interested in the geothermal and looking at that with the Sustainability Council folks. So I wanted to also mention a couple of things that I'm really excited about. I promised the commissioners I'd stay excited for the rest of the year and be really happy about this. But yesterday we chose to purchase 4 electric vehicles, and those are for public health, road and bridge, in the county assessor's office. And, you know, 4 EVs may not sound like a lot, but I think we're leading the way as local governments. And also that means that those EVs will be managed by 27 employees throughout those departments. So I know that once people drive an EV, they're not going to buy anything else. So I hope that this will be a step towards EV adoption. And then also we did apply for the EV readiness grant that will help us to hopefully close some gaps in the EV charging desert that we have in Routt County. We're working with state parks to potentially look at some partnerships there. And if anybody has any other ideas about who might be an interested partner and where there might be good locations, please drop it in the chat. I'd be happy to advance your cause. So lastly, I have a call to action for you. We adopted the Routt County Master Plan and have been diligently working the past year to institutionalize the master plan into our codes. And we met with our planning commission on the 7th to have a discussion about what that looks like. And I think there's some things that it would be of interest or importance to this group. Specifically, we're talking about, should we do restrictions on home sizes? So this is traditionally considered a climate action tool to look at not wasting so much energy. I mean, I think we all know that home size is not necessarily the only determinant of what kind of energy use you have, but you know, do we really need home sizes larger than 7,500 square feet? This has been kind of a sticky point with our group. So if anybody has the capacity to dig into this, I would love to hear from you. And we have our second meeting on the 21st of December. You could participate virtually. You could come check in. Unfortunately, this is not a public comment meeting. So if this is of interest to you, you would need to comment in advance. But just seeing faces in the audience and even online really helps us be able to refer back to your comments if you send them to us in advance. We're also looking at secondary dwelling sizes, lodging, meaning second homes. Okay, let me back up. We're looking at some things that would increase density in the county, which is relatively inconsistent with the master plan. So looking at short-term rentals, looking at camping on county properties, looking at secondary dwellings and increasing the sizes of those. In my opinion, these things are inconsistent with the master plan, but we have had requests from the public to consider these things. So I feel like Routt County's efforts to institutionalize the climate action plan have been transformational. Our planning commission has been embracing them, but some of these things that are pretty basic, good planning efforts are not really being supported fully for many different reasons. So if anybody's available to comment before the meeting on the 21st, please reach out to me. I'd be happy to talk to you about, what it is that would be helpful. If you can attend the meeting on the 21st, it's in the evening, starts at 6 o'clock, be at the Routt County Commissioners Hearing Room. So thank you everybody for your awesome support of these efforts. We're finally making a whole lot of progress in less time than it's taken over the past decade. So I'm really happy. Happy New Year.
Great. Thank you so much, Commissioner Macy's. Next, we have Councilor Dakota McKinley, City of Steamboat Springs City Council member.
Hi, everyone. Thanks for having me today. I'm filling in for Gail. So I have some notes that she shared with me. There are some exciting things going on with the city. Last night, we were able to approve around $125,000 for environmental nonprofits in the Community Support Fund. So that's great. We also have, oh geez, one moment, bear with me. Get my notes back up here. Okay. So I'm gonna scroll through these because some of these have already been mentioned by folks. Routt County received a technical expert grant. I think Sonia was mentioning this too, that that's 60 hours of technical expertise to study that solar array, which is exciting. The city's recycling coordinator, Alicia Archibald, continues to work with businesses and multifamily properties on the implementation of the mandatory recycling for commercial properties. Alicia is available to provide technical expertise on all things recycling. So feel free to reach out to her. She's also working on providing materials for the statewide styrofoam ban that goes into effect in January. Styrofoam and polyester cup and food container ban applies to all retail food establishments in Colorado, according to Colorado law. A retail food establishment store is one that prepares or packages food for human and consumption and provides the food to people either directly or through a delivery service. So just a little backstory on that. One other item that might be of interest is that the city just installed 2 Barracuda composting bins, one at Eagle Scout Park, and the other one, I believe, is downtown. Not exactly sure where, but I know that 2 have been installed, and these are bear-proof composting bins that will be available 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. So that's very cool. And then these next few things are from the report that I can mention really quickly. EV charging numbers for November. There were 158 charging sessions at city-owned EV charging stations, around $423 in revenue for November. So total year to date, that's 3,318 sessions with around $2,000 in revenue. So the rodeo grounds, awesome. Thank you, Scott. And yeah, November solar production at the wastewater treatment plant, there was 37,000 kilowatt hours. So that's $3,500 worth of savings. Transit building operations, around 1,600 kilowatt hours and around 160 in savings. And then the wastewater treatment plant year to date, almost 490,000 kilowatt hours. So it's 46,000 in savings. So that's a lot. Oh, and then, okay, so those are year to date rather than November. Gotcha. So transit building year to date is almost 10,000 kilowatt hours with almost $1,000 in savings. And then the waste diversion recycling cap note I have is collaborated with zero waste event producers to explore requirements and barriers to reusables and washables for events and identifying potential pilot events for 2024. And then just really quick, Gail mentioned as well that she can't be here today because she's doing an extended Producer Responsibility Act meeting, and that is kind of slow progress, but in the next couple of years, they're hoping to have an agreement with kind of a minimum recyclables list and a lot of education. And then in March, the CDA-PHE is hoping to present to the legislature kind of their plan, and we can start, gearing up for all that good stuff to be able to have statewide infrastructure for recycling. Thanks, everyone.
Great. Thank you so much, Councilor McKinley. Next, we have Scott Cowman, Director of Environmental Health and Quality with Routt County.
All right, thanks, Michelle. Hello, everybody. I attended the climate workshop in Craig last week in place of Sonia. It was good to have some windshield time with Paul Boney and Tim Sullivan, who let me know that there was an expectation that I was to report back at this meeting. So that's what I'm doing. And the meeting was attended by about, I would say, 25 or 30 people. The state had representatives from the CDPHE, the Just Transition Office, and also the Colorado Energy Office. They gave a presentation, and I took a picture of one of the slides that kind of talks about a summary of what the state can do to reduce emissions. And this is version 2 of the greenhouse gas emissions roadmap. So a lot has been accomplished. And this slide kind of detailed what else the state can do, including support industrial emissions reductions and electrification, reduce emissions from oil and gas development and operations, electrify buildings through incentives, workforce support and codes, reduce methane emissions from waste, coal mines, and agriculture, reduce vehicle miles through transit, safe streets, land use policy, reduce emissions from utilities through clean heat and clean energy planning, prepare for and support carbon capture technologies. So as expected, there was a few comments, and people in communities like Craig are concerned, obviously, and I think that the state representatives did a great job validating those concerns and trying to convey, that there's a lot of opportunities out there, and I think Hayden is a good example of a community that's really trying to embrace those opportunities. So overall, I think it was a good meeting and worth the trip, and I'm happy to answer any other specific questions. Thank you.
Great. Thank you so much, Scott. Next, we have Jeremiah Seropoulos, a wildlife biologist with U.S. Forest Service.
Yes, hello everyone, and thanks for including me today. I'm happy to give an update on what's going on with the Forest Service. I'd like to give big thanks to Yampa Valley Sustainability Council. Did another awesome job this summer on our wet meadow restoration work in California Park, 2 years in a row. A bunch of really hard work. We're already seeing the beneficial results of this work, and it's just going to compound over the years. Related to that, we're still in the process, but hope to sign shortly the final environmental assessment that will let us include up to 66 miles of this drainage for restoration. I'm also in the process, and looks like I got it, I don't want to jinx it, of securing some more funding, which will pave the way, well, not pave, will help get this work done for the next 10 to 15 years. So it's really incredible. And it's been really neat to see that happen. A smaller victory, we secured a couple electric bikes to help us do our wildlife surveys this summer, which is really neat. So we can rely less on those gas-powered ATVs and UTVs, go out there and inventory our wildlife in the forest and provide protections from any sort of projects and things that are done there. And maybe a little bit out of the scope of climate action, but we are doing a cool thing this winter, that some citizen science work up on the ski hill and some evening owl surveys and snowshoe walks with the Yampatika. So go to the Yampatika website if you want to be involved in that. And that's about it for updates from the Forest Service. Thank you.
That's great. Thank you so much, Jeremiah. And you're going to have to send us pictures of you doing field work on e-bikes. That's exciting.
Okay.
That's great. Next up, we have Laura Sword, Senior Director of Destination Development and Communication with the Steamboat Chamber.
Thank you. Good afternoon, everyone. Happy to share a few things that we have going on here at the Chamber. The first thing I'll mention is some work that we're doing on our Destination Stewardship Action Plan. So we received a grant this year from the Colorado Tourism Office to identify really needs and projects for our area, and especially for the Chamber as the destination marketing and management organization for Steamboat Springs in the Yampa Valley. So as part of this program, we hosted a workshop a couple weeks ago to help gather input on our destination stewardship action plan, really looking at what do we need to do? What are the needs? What are some of the things that are preventing us from getting there? And really, how can we leverage tourism, the tourism economy we already have and may have in the future, to really benefit our community as a whole? And one of the things we really focused on was balancing the economic side of tourism with preserving our cultural heritage and the social aspect of Steamboat, along with minimizing the negative impacts on the environment, as well as also enhancing, the positive impacts that we can get from tourism. Several people on the call were there, so thank you for your time, including Michelle. So thank you guys for your time there. We appreciate all the input that we get. The more input that we get from the community, really, the better this plan is going to be. So that's one thing we're working on. The next thing I want to mention real quick is from the Chamber business development side of things. We are all about shop local this month. So it's a great way to reduce your carbon footprint and to really support your friends and neighbors and their businesses. Grab something, shop local downtown. We're also doing a shop local bingo in partnership with the pilot to encourage people and to incentivize people to do your shopping in Steamboat Springs this season. If you have any questions on that, let me know. Otherwise, you can see that on the pilot and some of our Chamber outlets as well. So thanks again for people who have participated in some of those destination stewardship programs in the past. And if anyone has any questions on what we're working on there and what we're going to do in the future, please don't hesitate to reach out to me. So thank you.
Great. Thank you so much, Laura. And it is really remarkable the amount of money that's reinvested into the community when you do buy local. Like, I think that the number John Bristol has shared is around 70%, meaning it goes into salaries and then it goes into school fees and all that. So it's a really wonderful partnership. So thank you, Laura. Next, we have Emily Burke, Conservation Program Manager with Friends of the Yampa.
Great, thanks. Hi, everybody. Good afternoon. So I just have a couple updates from Friends of the Yampa. We have begun the planning process for this, well, I guess next year's 2024 Yampa Basin Rendezvous, which, if you're not familiar, is a conference held here in Steamboat Springs. And really the goal of that is to encourage a dialogue among both practitioners, folks working in the field of conservation and climate resiliency, but also in the community on how to build climate resiliency in the Yampa Valley. So we've started planning that. The dates for the conference next year are Wednesday, Thursday, May 29th to 30th. And we're currently identifying panel themes. So if you have any, burning ideas for topics that we shouldn't overlook, please let either Jenny Fritzen with Friends of the Yampa or me know. And I should say we're co-chairing that this year with the Center for Western Weather and Water Extremes. We also held our big Snow Bash, which is our big annual fundraiser, in November, and that was a huge success. So thank you to everybody who attended. Another update is Dinosaur National Monument, who's one of our partners, received funding to do biocontrol for invasives along the river throughout the Yampa Basin, specifically focusing on leafy spurge and Russian knapweed. And so that funding runs through 2030. So there's going to be a lot more effort on releasing bugs and monitoring how they control populations, specifically of leafy spurge up throughout the basin. So that's exciting. Not much to report on our scorecard project. That's our river health assessment project, other than we're just in the process of scoring the data that we collected this year in the Steamboat segment. And the final report for that segment should be available by March. And then our other water quality monitoring efforts, just in terms of trying to secure outstanding waters designations for some of the headwaters in the Yampa Basin. We have one more round of water quality monitoring to do this winter, and then hopefully those streams will receive the outstanding waters designation in June. And that is it for me. Thanks, everybody. Thanks, YVSC, for hosting.
Thanks so much, Emily. Next, we have Kristen Jesperson, Executive Director with Yampa.
Hi, everyone. Thanks for having me today. So Yampa has recently completed our 5-year strategic plan, and that's available online at our website and provides a good windshield tour of what we aspire to accomplish up until 2028. We are hosting a Blues Break camp the week of February 19th. And at that camp, we will focus on snow science and the role of snow in our water supply and watershed function for youth ages 5 through 9 years old. That is $450 for the whole week, but we do have scholarships available. So please broadcast that widely. Our adult winter programs are up and running. And so we have a variety of different snowshoe tours. Pretty much we have a tour hosted every day of the week except for Sundays. So I won't go through all of them, but you can go to our website and look those up and see if there's anything that appeals to you or anyone in your family, or if you have people visiting. But we'll be doing a lot of snow science education through those programs, and again, echoing a lot of the lessons and information relating to our water supply and how snow behaves with different weather patterns. But as Jeremiah mentioned tonight, and for every Wednesday up until late March, we will be doing a wildlife watchers program up at the ski resort. And so that will be more of an opportunity to engage people in citizen science, which is a direction that we are working to move towards as much as possible through both our tours and a partnership that we have with the ski resort. We have some of our tours offered through the Steamboat Ski Resort app. So that's a good place to not only find out about the events that we're hosting throughout town, but also to view some of the species profiles that we have put together for wildlife monitoring while recreating up at the resort. So we've established an iNaturalist area throughout the resort and are working to promote citizen science by having users up there report any wildlife sightings that they have. So it's kind of all connecting. So our events will provide people with information about the wildlife. We have that information on the website and on the app. And then you can sign up to become an iNaturalist and catalog any information that you are observing while you're up skiing, recreating, doing whatever up there. Along those lines, we have a Christmas bird survey this weekend on Saturday, which is a time when we have people on skis and on snowshoes going to survey rosy finches and Canada jays and other important birds. We also have an exhibit up in partnership with the Art Museum. Well, the Art Museum has an exhibit, and we have a section that is an interactive component focused on wildlife and designed for youth. So I encourage you to go check that out, and that provides a lot of information about animals that we tend to see throughout the winter in the region. And our school programs have seen, through our water education programming alone, over 3,000 students as of last month. So that count is ticking every day, but we have our school staff out and about busy providing a wide variety of different environmental education to students pre-K through 12th grade. And I did want to acknowledge that some of this programming is made possible through YVEA, which is on this call, Mountain Valley Bank, Anschutz Family Foundation, and the Craig Sheckman Family Foundation. So thank you to those funders.
Great. Thank you so much, Kristen.
Thank you.
Next, we have Mike Beyer, Program Specialist with Yampa Valley Electric Association.
Thank you, Michelle, and thank you, YVSC, for hosting today. As Connor was mentioning earlier, YVA did run out of funding last year for its rebate program. I was hoping I was going to have more details to announce today, but what I can say, the board has not officially approved our budget yet. That's coming up here in a couple weeks. But I'm anticipating that there will be some increase in funding for that program, as well as we're in a partnership, working on a partnership with the city of Steamboat to increase that energy assessment budget amount. So I'm hopeful that we'll have a more robust rebate program and that there will be some more funding for that. But stay tuned, we'll be releasing the specifics beginning of the year. Our Raise Up Income Qualified Community Solar program, that 2-year cycle is about to end, coming up the end of March. April 1st, we'll have a new group of participants. So that is serving our membership that is 80% AMI or less. So we encourage everyone to help get the word out for that new round of people. That program assists approximately 40 to 50 members within the YVA service territory. So you'll see some information on that coming up soon. We're pleased that City Council has approved the YVA Green Choice Program as one of the methods to offset the snow melt fossil fuel sources. And just a reminder that YVA is 45% renewable currently. There was some that the newspaper article that came out did say that we were the only, Green Choice was the only choice, and that is not accurate. It is just one of the methods that people have to utilize to offset that. As Kristen so kindly mentioned, YVA and Yampa, I would like to put a plug in for Operation Roundup to encourage all of you on the call, as well as anyone that we come in contact, to sign up for Operation Roundup. It's an average of $6 per year per person that's a YVA member, at a maximum of $12 per year. I mean, currently we only have about half of our membership participating in that program, and all the money goes to local resources like Kristen's, etc. So we're going to try and do a little better job in 2024 of getting more funds in that so we can give more money out. Kind of on the funner side of things in my department, we're currently working on a test with a residential EV managed charging program. Thank you, Commissioner Macy's, for being one of the guinea pigs in that test. We appreciate that. We're also looking at solutions to assist our members that utilize heat tape and to help them control their costs. There's some work we're doing around that right now. The number of EVs on the road in our service territory, we currently have 413. So that number is growing and rising. And we're definitely seeing a very large increase in the number of inquiries for individuals, members, third parties interested in installing EV chargers. So that's something that's that we're seeing that's new. Our 2023 member survey results are available on our website. I will post a link to that. So we've had some members recently requesting that information, so we're making sure that everyone's aware that that is out there and visible. And do look forward to we are having a new website launch coming up. It will either be launched the end of December or beginning of January. And just a note on that, just if you have links to things on your websites, be mindful that you may need to look back at that. We're happy to announce that we have been now meeting monthly with YVSC to further our collaboration as groups together. So that's a positive move forward for all of us. And summarizing and finalizing here, our next Ride and Drive event will be on May 5th, 2024. That date has now been set. And I wanted to congratulate Tim Sullivan, was the winner of our last EV charger giveaway at the last year's event. So congratulations, Tim, and thank you for your support. And that's all from YVA. Thanks.
Thanks so much, Mike. And Tim is unfortunately not on the call. He is in a meeting that the city is hosting that's tied to land use provisions tied to code. So I know he was very excited about receiving that. So it's very exciting. So thank you for those great updates. We have several people who are not able to join that were in this portion of the meeting. I'll just note Jessica Counts, the Executive Director with the Yampa Valley Partnership for Students, Sustainability, and Stewardship. Some of you might have heard the acronym S3, but there is an initiative that was at first brought here by Gates Family Foundation and the Lyra Foundation, really tied to trying to advance climate action by bringing together our key school districts, really in Northwestern Colorado so across Routt and Moffat counties, and also industry partners. And the project is really working to advance the intersections of those two. So it continues to build. Several members on the call today have been part of those kind of workshopping meetings to keep standing up the S3 partnership. But Jessica Counts is the executive director there, and she will be joining these community meetings next year. So she says hello, and just keep an eye out for communications with S3. If you're interested in curriculum enhancements as they pertain to climate action or climate industry, certainly Google the S3, and then you can sign up for their mailing list too. Michelle Meyer is also not able to join us. Community Ag Alliance, the big news, they have their new office. For those that have bumped into her, she's very anxious to get in there and continues to kind of oversee the revisions that will then open up the new marketplace over off of, correct me if I'm wrong, I think 10th? I might be wrong there. Sorry, Michelle Meyer, but she's not here to hear me mess up. And so I will move us to Matthew Mendisco. It's such a pleasure to have you here, Town of Hayden Town Manager.
Thank you, Michelle. So I had to join late. I was had another appointment from 1 to 2 o'clock, but it got over a little bit early, so thank you. Michelle invited me to talk about what the town of Hayden is trying to do from a sustainability standpoint. And I think first and foremost, what I would bring to everybody's attention is that the town of Hayden is attempting to do a couple things. First and foremost, we are going to be endeavoring this next year on some people I'm sure will know what this term is, but we're going to try to take it to a different level, which is kind of a life cycle assessment. In the agricultural world, it basically measures how much carbon you put out and versus your operation and what your impacts are. It looks at soil, it looks at everything. So what the town of Hayden is going to do is we're going to take that and kind of apply it holistically to our entire community, what we do, how we do it, what we want to do in the future to ensure that we are, we're measuring that, but then we're also looking at all the other aspects of what we're doing in terms, of regenerative practices, things of that nature. What that leads also to is the town of Hayden's business park development specifically, which we will be applying to the geothermal office to try to build a geothermal network for the business park, specifically for heating. We had not considered electrification on that site. I would say electrification, not that we didn't consider beneficial electrification, because that's obviously a consideration for every business there. But from a heating standpoint, we're also considering doing this there. And then we are going to study over the next year as part of that life cycle assessment, whether we could take that to a municipal scale and actually create a municipal utility that new development, we would partner with those, and the heating aspects of that would be hopefully closed loop ground source geothermal, networks. You guys have Brown Ranch just got a recent grant to study this and put in some of the infrastructure. I will tell you that it's very exciting, but just from a scale standpoint, we have 13 light industrial business lots up by the town of Hayden. So if you know anybody who's looking to expand their businesses here locally, please send them my way. But I think the whole point is that we're trying to do this as sustainable as possible. But to give perspective, just to build that for those 13 lots, the estimate's anywhere from $4 to $5 million just for that. So I love the geothermal office that they're offering 50% up to $1 million. $1 million pays for 20% of the total project, and they're looking to pay for 10% of the 20. So we're looking at all aspects on how to actually achieve that. We've tried to include it into our budget. But we're trying to move forward in that vein. Investments like this to transition are going to be very large, not insurmountable by any means. But it's going to take a lot for, folks like you all and everything else, talking to the state and everybody else so that they understand, thank you for your 10% investment. We're used to projects being 50% investments by the state. So like, we're going to have conversations about how, those things. Nonetheless, that's what we're moving towards. It's exciting for us because, and for those who don't know, the town of Hayden is obviously a partner in the Routt County Climate Action Plan. We're actually the fiscal agent for the Routt County Climate Action Plan. And we did that specifically because we understand what our path needs to be, what we want it to be for the future. And Hayden Station is obviously within, in West Routt County. We are trying to move in directions to where we understand that we are doing it in a very resilient, future-looking way. So that is the 4-minute version. And I'd be happy to answer any questions if people have that or have them, may not, but or if you want to reach out to me afterwards, obviously, feel free to do so. So.
Great. Thank you, Matthew, so much for all those updates. And really, Hayden is doing such an impressive job of advancing the energy and equity components too. And then I'll just do a shout out. Matthew has been awarded a Betcher Fellow in the past. And so he really is an important thought leader in our region and collaborative co-chair. So we're very lucky to have him.
I am part of the Betcher family. So.
Oh, are you? I didn't know that.
Yeah, well, not the family. They call it the family. If you're a Betcher Fellow, you're part of the family.
You're part of the family. Okay. All right, great. Well, thank you so much.
But all right, thank you.
Yeah, thank you. And next we have Alyssa Wilhelm, the Emergency Management Specialist with Routt County.
Hi, everyone. Thanks for having me today. I am here to talk to you a little bit about our Community Wildfire Protection Plan. This plan was just recently finalized. We're very happy about that. This plan actually started about 1.5 years ago now, so it's been an ongoing process to get it finalized, to get it signed off, and we're happy to say that we're finally there. It was just signed off at the end of October by everyone that needed to sign it. So if you want to take a look at our CWPP, you can find it on the Routt County Emergency Management website. Otherwise, you can also find it on the Colorado State Forest Service website, or if you just Google Routt County CWPP, it's one of the first results. So you can see it there. And so just to get started on this project, to give you a quick background and then let you know what it's all about. We started this last year, as I said. We put together a steering committee with a lot of the people in our community that have kind of an interest or a role in wildfire, either mitigation or land managers, stuff like that. So we had someone from all of our fire districts. We had the U.S. Forest Service, the Colorado State Forest Service, the Division of Fire Prevention and Control, some people from just Routt County government. So we had a pretty good group together for our steering committee. And they were the ones that really helped to guide this process from beginning to end. So we're super grateful to everyone who had that time to put into this project. It was definitely a bigger undertaking than we all thought it was going to be. But we're finally done. We did do some community outreach with it at the beginning of the project. So we had 4 different meetings that we held. We had one each in Hayden, Stagecoach, Steamboat, and then North Routt. And then we had a community survey as well. So that helped us get some community input for the CWPP. And all of that input, you can find it in the appendices in the back of the plan if you want to check that out or see what we really had to do for it. So that's kind of how we got started. We had the steering committee, we had our community input, and then to do kind of the hazard assessment, which is an important part of our CWPP, we really relied on the Colorado Wildfire Risk Assessment portal. And this is a publicly available portal through the Colorado State Forest Service. And they have all different hazard layers and mapping layers that anybody can go on and see. And you can narrow it down to just Routt County. You can zoom in all the way to where your house may be or any other kind of property. And we thought this would be useful to use because they update it very frequently. So it was last updated last year, and then it should be updated in another 3 to 5 years. So that'll help us a lot as we begin to update our plan and to keep it current. So that's why we kind of went with that. We also had Colorado State Forest Service on our steering committee, so it was kind of easy to work with them on their products and see, hey, are we going about this the right way? Is this how we should be doing it? And make sure we're getting buy-in from them, because ultimately they're the ones who have to approve our plan. So we did our hazard assessment that way, and then we had the steering committee decided that there were 4 main areas that we wanted to focus our CWPP on. So there's a little bit of leeway across the state how these CWPPs are completed. We broke ours into kind of 4 main priority areas. And those 4 areas, first is life safety. So that's evacuation routes and other critical supply routes. Then second priority would be critical infrastructure. So that's our hospitals and our medical facilities, fire stations, dams, water treatment plants, the power plant and power lines, our communication towers, kind of all those things that we need to keep our community running. Our third priority would then be economic drivers. So we decided our main ones here are going to be agriculture and ranching, recreation areas, including the resort, and our airports as well. And then our 4th main priority area is just property, so both public and private property. And as you go through the CWPP, you'll kind of see that theme throughout it. We always refer back to, excuse me, we always refer back to those 4 priority areas. So to give you kind of an overview of how the CWPP went, we did our hazard assessment, we had our 4 priority areas, and then we needed to define the wildland urban interface, or the WUI, as you've probably heard it called before. So in order for us to define the WUI here in Routt County, we took our 4 priority areas, put them all on a map. So everything together on one map, and then we put a 1-mile buffer around everything. And that's how we got that map of what we could consider the WUI. But we also put in there in our plan that all of Routt County is considered a wildfire-prone environment. So just so people are aware that, hey, no matter where you are in the county, this is something that you need to be focusing on, and this is a big priority for everybody. And then also a big part of our CWPP is just the projects. So we decided to identify projects going from a very broad level, and then narrowing them down to a very specific level. And the goal of this was basically so that we're kind of encompassing everything. There's a lot of grant funding that's tied up in having a current and up-to-date CWPP. And so a lot of these grants want to see that the project that you're requesting grant funds for are in your CWPP. So we thought, we can start with those broad categories so that everybody's kind of covered, and then really narrow it down to things that would be a little bit easier for us to actually go ahead and do those projects. So some of the kind of the bigger idea projects that we're looking at is just an overall, sorry, I just had someone come in the office. We had broad level projects, and they started with our life safety projects. So that would just be like roadside fuel treatments, or improving road signage. For critical infrastructure, a broad project would just be hardened critical infrastructure. So very broad, we don't talk about anything in specifics, but there's a lot of projects that could fall under that category. For economic drivers, one of those broad categories or broad projects would be to increase capability for livestock evacuations for our agriculture and ranching communities. And then for property was really just to provide guidance and resource to homeowners, because there are a lot of things that homeowners can do that don't require any kind of outside support, but we want to make sure that people have the right information, and they know where they need to go if they need help with funding or anything like that. So all of these things really tie into our community wildfire protection plan. We include some specific information for homeowners, and they follow the Colorado State Forest Service home ignition zone guidelines. So we include defensible space guidelines. We include different ways that you can do structure hardening for your own home, whether that's a retrofit or then moving into new building codes as well. And then finally, we get to our list of very specific projects. So these are ones where we actually have, road names defined. We have different neighborhoods or HOAs defined. So Even with these projects, we still stick with those 4 priority areas. So for life safety, one of our projects that we were thinking of is Seed House Road. A lot of you know Seed House Road is one way in, one way out. So that's a big evacuation concern for us if there was a wildfire there. So that's a specific project. Same thing with critical infrastructure. We're looking at specific towers, communication towers that our first responders need every single day. So how can we harden those? How can we make sure that those aren't impacted by wildfire, or at least lessen the risk? And I guess I need to wrap it up. So just so you guys know, we just wanted to say basically that it's going from broad down onto those more specific projects. And so we have the final CWPP. And really what we need to do now is just the implementation plan. So we do have a task force that's working on that. And we're going to have kind of a GIS enabled dashboard for everybody to take a look at, public facing, so that you can see what projects are being worked on. You'll be able to zoom into different maps as well. And just we're trying to be transparent and make sure that everybody can kind of see how this plan is going to be implemented across the county. So that's what I have. Sorry, I went a little long.
No, it's great. Alyssa, thank you so much. And it's so nice to have you join us. That's a great overview, and it's a new release of a very relevant plan. So thank you.
Yes, thank you.
Yes, we have reached the end of those that I had queued up in the agenda who had comments prepared for today's meeting. I can open it up for public comment, and I won't hold a static, quiet line for a long time. So if no one has a public comment, then I'll let us go, and everyone can do whatever makes them most happy in these remaining 19 minutes. But I do want to make space for public comment for anyone who's in the meeting.
Michelle, I'll jump back in just as a human being. I'm not wearing any hats per se, but if anybody wants to party tomorrow, I'm hosting the Routt County Democrats holiday party. You do not have to be a Democrat. There will be no politics, just nice people, good food, and wine. So if you don't know where I live and you want to come over, text me, get in touch. It starts at 6, and it's a really, really fun party. So you all should celebrate your awesome successes. Come on out and party with the Routt County Democrats and everyone else.
Thank you so much. Anyone else? All right. Well, everyone have a wonderful remainder of December and wrap out a very successful 2024. Thank you so much for all you do. And really, it's such a pleasure to work alongside such an outstanding group of leaders and committed individuals. So look forward to being in touch, and have a wonderful day.